Mhm. Hello there. I'm an ape. I'm a CEO and co-founder of HCE with my partner Paolo Mioni that will speak later. We are very happy to be here and talk in this wonderful meeting and introduce one of our projects, Vintageria.it, which is an e-commerce that sells vintage fashion from the 80s and the 90s. And um, we were involved in this project at the end of 2019, and we uh, try to express the essence of this wonderful and cool shop in Venice through a specific tone of voice, and we were very seduced by the story, which we thought was worth telling. Sustainable fashion that aims to involve young people from all over Europe, and we decided to create something very particular and with a strong personality. In order to do so, we had to change a little bit what we think to be like a standard in e-commerce, and so we wanted to be fun and um, and maintain usability in the whole e-commerce interface, but with a very original design and funny solution in probably in all the domains in the copywriting and in the way things are designed. So I try to show you what we did from the features point of view, and then my colleague Paolo will talk more about the technology that's behind all that. So for expressing this particular tone of voice, we try to take inspiration from the 80s arcade games and from all the culture, pop culture from that period in which we were child and young, and we remember quite well. And we think we can present it in a way that the younger generation can feel sincere. And uh, as you can see, all the details we try to keep them coherent and consistent with the tone of voice. All the filters, for instance, are a little bit funny. At least we try to be funny, and we have a very useless filter that we can use to see all the products in the website in a very particular way, an original way. So this is a page which allows us to express this first choice we made, that is to present our models with masks, with animal masks, which is a way of being recognizable if just a picture is shared online, and we will be the only fashion shop that uses this kind of language. So this page could be considered maybe the most important one. It's the heart of the e-commerce application which is the list of all the products. And then inside here, we can show you a detail of a product page. And all this interface has, of course, been thought in mobile phone-centric, from a mobile point of view first, and then adapted to desktop. And we think this way is the only way to work now. And the choice we made to build it as a PWA is the only way to do something that will be worth having in the future. We see the PWA technology as the main thing to develop for the next years. And Paolo will try to explain which are the pros and cons of this technological choice. Our aim is to take full advantage of this technology during 2021, and I hope there will be a lot of new features that we can use by installing this website as a standalone website on mobile phones, and involve more and more our audience. That's pretty much all I have to say, and just I want to invite you to check this website on mobile phones and see how it looks like, and see if it is, as I said, something that tries to be original and achieve that goal. So now I'm letting Paolo talk to you about more technical stuff, and hope to present a project that we'll enjoy, that you will enjoy. Thank you.
Okay, welcome to part 2 of our talk, Building a Sustainable E-commerce Platform with Shopware PWA. I'm Paolo Mioni, I'm the human one and the slightly more serious one. I'm the CTO and founder at HCE.at. I founded HCE with Emanuele a long time ago, and I'm a board member at Rabbit Hole Group. We're going to talk about vintageria.at, the site Emanuele showed you. Building a sustainable e-commerce platform. We built a sustainable e-commerce platform, and what does it mean? It means that everything needs to be sustainable. So we have sustainable fashion, we have sustainable development, we built a sustainable system, or tried to, better, and we tried to keep a sustainable workplace while doing so, which was probably the most difficult thing. And sustainable fashion, as you might have noticed, is the fashion sold by Vintageria is all used clothing, so everything is some sort of a recycling or no waste involved. And it's sort of circular and green, and everything is low energy, low carbon emissions. What does this imply in terms of a website? How to make the development of such a complicated platform sustainable? You know, the stack is based on Shopware. We use Shopware, headless Shopware as an API to create all the contents and the management system for the contents and for the products. And Shopware PWA as a front end based on Nuxt and with server-side rendering. And the Shopware PWA, the front end that attaches itself via a REST API to the Shopware backend. And so we had to customize, since it's a very specific project, it's not the standard add your logo, change the colors front end. we needed to develop a lot of custom components, which has been done both on the Shopware side, and we'll see that as well. And you've seen a lot of custom components on the front end during Emanuele's presentation. When we started, and it still is the case, Shopware PWA was in a beta state, quite at the beginning of its development. But we still wanted to adopt this technology because we felt it was vital for the success of this project. Why PWA? Because it's fast in transitions between pages, because you can use user can install it as sort of an app, and so you have lots of development possibility in terms of push notifications and stuff without having all of the overhead of building a proper app in 2 different languages for different app stores. And so PWA is the way of the future with service workers. It heavily caches things, so when people come back, they will have a very fast experience. So these are the very reasons why we chose Shopware and Shopware PWA for this development. But we have a lot of custom code on a better platform. So were we looking for trouble? We might think, yes, it was not the easiest journey in the world to build this website, but it was still lots of fun. And it was not really trouble, let's say. We had lots of help from the composition API, which is adopted in Shopware PWA, in spite of the fact that it's based on Vue 2. It's a plugin that needs to be installed extra as a package, whereas it will be standard on Vue 3, as everybody will have told you during this conference. The composition API is very useful because it allows you to inherit specific functions, methods, or behaviors, different components, no matter where they're placed in the hierarchy of the application. And it's very new to Vue, and it's very useful for building big applications. One thing I will say is that everybody's bad-mouthing PHP everywhere, but this kind of feature has been available in PHP. It's called traits, and it's been available for a very, very long time. So sometimes PHP is not the worst language in the world, you know. It was very easy to create a custom components using component replacement. Basically, it's not very complicated to say, you know, I want to have a very specific component replace completely what has been done by the valiant guys at Shopware PWA and Vue Storefront. And you just put it there and it works. So that part was pretty easy. It was very easy to create custom API calls to the backend with Shopware, because Shopware is very handy in creating customizations. We had created like 20 plugins for this website, going from very minor things to a custom wish list system, and all of the filters you see in the products list page were all custom features we built, and that was actually pretty easy. So it was not that bad a ride. What did we have problems with? Which something might be valid for you, and that's why I'm including it in this talk. The main problem we had was with memory leaks. Memory leaks are tied to the SSR server-side rendering on Nuxt. So it's a problem mostly on the backend. They will affect you if they're very bad also on a client side when the application is running in the user's browser, but the main problem they will have is for you on the backend, because basically the Nuxt instance is running on your server and is serving all of these pages with server-side rendering when you configure it to run. But if there's a memory leak, the memory usage of your node instance that's running Nuxt will increase until it tops the available memory and it crashes and you have to restart it. And it's A memory leak means that your production server is going to restart randomly every few hours, every many hours, every few days. And when it's every few days, then it's not that big of a problem. But if it's every few hours, it's a problem. And it's very difficult to identify memory leaks. One of the reasons is there's code from several sources, which can cause the memory leak in Node. One is the beta Shopware from PWA, which being beta, it can have memory leaks, but the guys from Shopware PWA and Rooster Front solve them very quickly all the time. So there are no memory leaks on Shopware PWA at the moment, and it's running fine. We tested it lately. There can be code memory leaks from third-party libraries you're using. And then can be memory leaks from your own custom code, which is the most probable source of memory leaks once everything you've used is not in beta anymore, or you're using well-tried third-party libraries. And so how do you deal with finding memory leaks? I have the following suggestions. We didn't follow them at the very beginning, so I would like to think about them early in your development stage, not to go through what we went through. You should regularly check for leaks. You should do it like once a week, twice a week, once every 2 weeks if it's a very long project, to make sure you don't have any. How to check for memory leaks, but basically there are very interesting tutorials online on how to check for memory leaks on Node. You will find articles, and you can look for them. You have to use Chrome Inspect and check for the state of memory at several points while reloading your application several times. So it's a fairly complicated things to debug. And one thing you can do is to look for basically things that leave something hanging, like open, not resolved promises, or set timeouts that weren't removed once you remove the components, and this thing remain hanging in memory. But if looking at your code is not enough, or maybe there's lots and lots of code, one technique which is recommended is to using git bisect, which means you try to find the point where you didn't have a leak, and then use this tool, which is too complicated to be explained here, but which is a way for Git to help you pinpoint where exactly a problem happened in the application. And you basically go through lots of commits until you find the moment when the memory leak is there. That's a very good technique if your code is monolithic and installed in one place in your Git repository. But having a decoupled solution like the PWA, we have code in Shopware, which is in a separate repo for us. And we have code in the Shopware PWA, which is on a specific Node.js / JavaScript repo. So it's very difficult to reproduce a state if you have code changing in 2 different repositories. So if you want to look how your application looked like 2 months ago, you have to revert both your current application and in Node, like the PWA, and you have to revert Shopware as well. And that's very difficult to do while Git bisecting. So it is better, as I'm saying here, it is better to fix early, to test early and fix early. It is recommended to do this, especially if you're doing a lot of custom, complicated development, like filters, like special effects, like we did. If you're doing just a normal, change the logo, change the colors, well, the guys from Shopware PWA have you covered, and you won't have problems with memory leaks. How to build a sustainable system? The system meaning the global everything about the project. One of the things that needs to be sustainable is, beside a sustainable server, you need to have a sustainable performance on the client side. And Google worries a lot about that when you analyze your stuff with Lighthouse and things to see how it performs. Usually PWAs and single-page applications might lead to big files in JavaScript, and that leads to poor web vitals. And this means to that your SEO guys will say, oh, this site doesn't perform well in Google, even though it's lightning fast for the end user. And this is a small criticism for the web vital systems, because I think they take too much into account the first load, which is obviously very important. It's paramount. If it's very slow, people will move to another site. But PWAs and single-page applications have a very fast transition between pages, much faster than when you're using a standard application that reloads the page every time. So that should be an advantage for end user in the end, and this is not taken into account at all in Web Vitals, which is unfair because you get a very fast website that transitions very fast, which is once everything is loaded, it is very, very nice for users, and still you get very bad vitals. But anyway, you can do something about these poor Web Vitals. And what did we do? And what are we doing? Because we're still working on it. You have to optimize resources. How do you do that? One thing is reduce the size of data structures at the Shopware API level, and later at the next level, before you store data you read from the API. It's very easy by building APIs to just dump objects and all of the dependencies and all of the connected sub-objects and to drop too many fields. And so you get like information you don't need on the specific API call you're using. And you should try and trim the JSON you're outputting from the APIs. Your data structure needs to be trimmed to contain only what's necessary for the specific call or the specific calls that API is serving. And at the next level, you can trim your data before you save them and send them to the end user when you're server-side rendering. So you can do it both ways. The other piece of advice I can give you is to use libraries only where needed. We had, you've seen the nice pixel changing animation in the hero section of the homepage of this website. And one mistake we made was to include Pixie.js, which was used for that animation, as a component plugin in Next configuration, and which meant that it was included everywhere in the vendor's part of the compiled code. And then we moved that in the page component that actually needed them, so they're downloaded on the fly. With Next, it's very easy to do that. You just move them, and they will get downloaded only when the relevant page is required, which saves a lot of data, especially in loading homepage or product lists when coming in from ads or from Instagram. You only download the part of code that's relevant for your current page, so no Pixie on the product list page. And what we're trying to do, it's just a test, because Shopware PWA includes Storefront UI, which is very nice component library, front-end component library with all of the custom buttons and effects and stuff, but we're not using all of it. We're only using it in some sections. And so we were thinking of including on demand only on the sections of the website that require it. It's like 1 megabyte, some small, less powerful mobiles. It will affect your site's performance. 1 megabyte of JavaScript to download is a lot of stuff, and especially for the cell phone to put in memory, it's a lot of stuff. But I don't know if we will succeed. It's just a test that we're doing at the moment. And a sustainable workplace. This was a very complicated project. We had lots of work to do, and we tried to have fun in the process. The site was fun. It's fun. It's a funny site, so we had lots of fun sharing memes and stuff. And we tried to have fun programming as well. As you saw probably in the hero section of the homepage, we have a face jumping over a picture of a person like a mask. And we use pose recognition to achieve that very quickly on the Shopware backend. And it was maybe not necessary, but since it was there, we did it. It was possible to do it, we did it, and we had lots of fun doing it. And so here's a small video, which I will, of the custom Shopware backend we created for the hero slides and the homepage. So there's the current slides. Let's see. We create a new slide. We choose a picture from the media system in Shopware. We choose a mask, well, we save the slide because you need to save it before it's available, to make it available. So we choose a Wookiee mask, and here's the picture of this nice lady, and the mask is placed immediately by pose recognition that finds the face and orients the mask as well, depending on the face. And you can change mask, and you can move it, and you can use a lemon head or a ghost, and you can increase it. But the princess is ideal for this picture. And it's obviously a 70s, 80s quote, which is very appropriate. And then you save the image, and you will find the coordinates and the shape and the orientation and the size of the face of the mask ready for the animation in the front end, which saves a little time to the people inputting images and doing the data entry in this application. And so this was all built, building a custom plugin for Shopware in the backend. And it was lots of fun to implement AI pose recognition, which was not really needed, but was an interesting thing to do. So with this, thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, and part 2 of this talk is over.